Fire Emblem is my favorite video game series. Since I played Awakening for the first time, I've gone back and played the rest of the games, the ones released in America at least, and completely fell in love with it. Now with Fates releasing within the next week, I thought I should give some newer players information on things they might have missed, or just didn't know. So these are the 5 things you should know about Fire Emblem before playing Fates. If you're a newcomer to the series, I hope this helps you out, and if you're a veteran of the series, maybe you'll learn something new. Let's get started. Despite its recent rise in popularity, Fire Emblem is older than you might think. Dating back to 1990 on the NES, Fire Emblem is one of Nintendo's older franchises. It has quite a storied history, recently celebrating its 25th anniversary in 2015. The games have appeared on almost every Nintendo platform since the original game. However, it only appeared outside of Japan for the 7th installment, Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, which came out in 2003. The developer of Fire Emblem, Intelligent Systems, is one of Nintendo's best developers, with games like Paper Mario, Advanced Wars, and WarioWare under their belt. Fire Emblem is one of their most successful series. However, due to declining sales by 2012, this series was going to be shelved if Fire Emblem Awakening didn't sell more than 250,000 copies. Luckily for us, it was a smash hit, and it sold almost 2 million copies worldwide. Fire Emblem has had its ups and downs, but the future is looking quite bright, with Fire Emblem Fates projecting to do very well worldwide. Each Fire Emblem game has its own independent story that requires very little background knowledge to enjoy. There are a few exceptions such as Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, where knowing Path of Radiance is essential to getting the most out of Radiant Dawn, but for the most part you can jump in wherever you like and still have a good time. The stories themselves are often quite entertaining, often delving into much darker territory than Nintendo usually does, with themes like genocide, suicide, and racism. There are some weaker plots here and there, but overall the stories are very enjoyable and can add a lot to the experience. This means if you're coming into the first time for Fire Emblem Fates, you don't need any previous plot knowledge of the other Fire Emblem games, so enjoy. The characters in Fire Emblem are very important, but not in the way you might initially assume. What first probably came to mind was a character-driven story, but it's Fire Emblem's gameplay that gets enhanced by the characters. As you play, you unlock conversations between your units that develop and add depth to their character. Alongside this, your gameplay experience with them, due to Fire Emblem's RNG nature, will leave you with many memorable moments you share with the units. You'll also sink tons of hours into improving their stats and abilities. The end result is a very strong relationship between the player and the characters. What drives this home for the gameplay is permadeath. In Fire Emblem, if your units die, they are gone for good. There is no way to get them back. This makes every encounter and every move you make all the more critical. It adds a layer of depth and engagement on a level that other games only dream of. I wholly recommend playing with permadeath on, although I can understand your reluctance if you want a more relaxing time. But trust me, there's almost nothing like the thrill of playing with it on. In Fire Emblem Fates, the feature is optional, so if you want a calmer, more laid-back experience, play either Phoenix mode or casual mode. But if you're seeking excitement, choose classic mode. Trust me, you won't regret it. Permadeath adds so much to the experience. The Fire Emblem community is quite a bit more unified than other fan bases, but that does not mean there aren't heated debates that take place over the games. This became really apparent once Fire Emblem Awakening became very popular, since it was many people's first game in the series, including my own. The game had an anime art style and placed more focus on the relationship aspect of the game. This brought more anime-related terminology like waifus and shipping into the online community. Not to say that these terms hadn't been used before, just to say that Awakening gave it a much more prominent place. Essentially, the direction of the series has shifted in a way many classic fans don't appreciate, and Fates has continued that trend with features such as bathhouses in a dressing room and skinship. This is the main issue that divides the community's opinion, but honestly, don't let the division get to you. There is plenty of Fire Emblem to enjoy. I just want to give some context to conversations you may see around the internet after or before playing Fire Emblem Fates. For a game that's genre is called the turn-based strategy role-playing game, Fire Emblem is surprisingly easy to get invested in and enjoy. Newer games feature lower difficulties and optional permadeath to ease players in, and the older games feature intense challenges that will really test your strategy. Overall, it's just a blast. The stories will tell your friends about crazy things that happen in your game, sharing the strategies you used on maps, the new info you learned about a character through their support conversations. It's a series that creates memories you'll remember for years to come. Man, that was so cheesy. But I'm really glad that Fates is going to introduce even more people to the series, and I highly recommend you go back and play the older games. So go play Fates, have a good time, and I hope you got the info dump on this series you were looking for. Thanks for watching. Once again, I hope you got the information you were looking for, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to share it with any other people you know interested in playing Fire Emblem Fates. If you're interested in more Fire Emblem content, be sure to look around my channel, for in the future I'll be taking a closer look at the series. See you next time.